Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You know, some disasters don't begin with a massive explosion. They creep in quietly, born from everyday carelessness. Today, I'm taking you to Oakland, California in 2016 to tell the story of the Ghost Ship, a dreamy, creative art space that ended in a tragedy no one saw coming. Now, let's take a closer look at what really happened. And it all began with that setting. Inside the warehouse was an improvised maze, stacked wooden structures, fabric curtains, and makeshift wiring. No automatic fire alarms, no sprinkler system. The only route to the upper level was a staircase built from wooden pallets. When the fire broke out, that escape route no longer existed. The exact cause of the fire was never definitively determined. However, investigators believe it most likely originated from the warehouse's makeshift electrical system. In an enclosed space filled with flammable materials, the fire spread rapidly and thick smoke poured out through every opening. Footage from outside shows dense black smoke revealing the level of danger faced by those inside. Surrounded by thick smoke and darkness, phones were pulled out not to record, but to say goodbye. Mom, I'm going to die. Tell Dad that I love you both. I'm sorry. Not a cry for help. A farewell. After the fire was largely brought under control, rescue teams found groups of friends holding each other in corners of the room. They knew they could not escape, and chose to stay together to feel less afraid. This disaster does not raise a question of bad luck. It raises a question of responsibility. Most disasters begin with the same thought. It won't happen to me. The safety measures, often dismissed as inconvenient, clear exit routes, fire alarms, electrical inspections, are exactly what give people a chance to correct mistakes when things go wrong. Ghost Ship was not just a fire. It reminds us that fire safety is the line between safety and tragedy. And the most frightening part is not the flames, but the fact that this could have been prevented. What do you think about safety responsibility in spaces like this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If the Ghost Ship disaster was a lesson in negligence, the next story reveals something far more painful. What happens when everything is done right, and it still isn't enough? This is the story of the firefighters of Yarnell Hill. Yarnell Valley, Arizona. A harsh landscape of dry ground, dense brush, scattered boulders, temperatures soaring above 40 degrees Celsius, and unpredictable shifting winds. A place where a single spark can explode into an uncontrollable wildfire. Within this environment, the Granite Mountain Hotshots, a crew of 20 elite wildland firefighters, were positioned on higher ground, relatively safe, watching as the fire threatened the town of Yarnell below. At the same time, one member of the crew, Brendan McDonough, was assigned to a lookout position farther away. That separation meant he was no longer with the main team, and it would ultimately make him the sole survivor of the tragedy. That afternoon, a dry thunderstorm moved in. It brought no rain, only powerful winds. Then the winds shifted, nearly 180 degrees. In an instant, the fire that had been behind them changed direction and charged straight toward the crew at a speed no human could outrun. Even as the situation became critical, radio communications remained calm. A transmission came over the radio, crew leader Eric Marsh reporting in. "We are being overrun. The fire is moving fast. We are deploying our fire shelters now." Fire shelters, the last resort for wildland firefighters. These aluminum-coated shelters are not designed to guarantee survival, only to provide a slim chance when every other option is gone. 19 men quickly gathered in one place. They cleared the ground, pressed themselves flat against the earth, and pulled the silver shelters over their bodies. There was no escape, no ability to move, only training, discipline, and trust in one another. After the fire passed, an aircraft conducted an aerial survey and reported over the radio that multiple silver shelters were visible on the ground with no signs of movement. When rescue teams later reached the site, they found the 19 fire shelters arranged in a nearly perfect circle. They followed every procedure until the very last moment. 19 men lost their lives in the line of duty, and their names are etched in remembrance of what they gave in service to others. The next story takes place in Maui, Hawaii, where fire surged straight into a living town, and the cost was measured in human lives. Lahaina, a coastal town not built to face a wildfire moving at hurricane speed. As Hurricane Dora churned offshore, powerful gusts swept across the island, turning a small fire on the mountainside into a moving wall of flames that rushed into residential areas within minutes. The fire no longer crept along the ground. It was thrown sideways by the wind, jumping across roads, homes, and even evacuation routes once considered safe. At the same time, power and communications were completely cut. No sirens, no timely warnings. Residents only realized the danger when smoke and embers were already at their doors, and the only instinct left was to leave as fast as possible. Cars poured onto the streets in chaos, lining up in search of an escape. But within minutes, Front Street came to a complete standstill. Power poles collapsed across the road. Fire closed in from both ends. There was no place to turn around, and no alternate route. In that gridlock, a family of 4 became trapped inside their own car. Heat rose rapidly until the windows began to fog. Smoke filled the cabin. The wind pressed the flames closer, leaving no space to escape. "We can't move anymore. The other side is blocked too. Hold on to each other." The surrounding cars fell silent. No one could move forward. The exit disappeared just moments before they reached it. After the fire passed, rescue crews found the vehicle on the road leading out of town. All 4 were killed inside. They were found positioned as if protecting one another. They tried to leave. But in that moment, every option had already closed. 3 different disasters, but one shared truth. Fire is not always unpredictable. Humans are often slower to react. Safety is not something to deal with later. It is what decides everything before every exit disappears. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story.